Hello everyone, good evening. Can anyone hear me? Hello. Okay. Thank you, Aishwarya ji, for confirming. All right. So let's start with the classes. Okay. So before that, just let me share a couple of things. So yesterday was the day one of MA Psychology first year classes. We started with MPC001 Block 1. We shared a couple of means things. Apart from that, we also discuss the history of psychology apart from the definition of psychology, okay, and where it emerged, then what are the different branches, okay. And today we are gonna continue with the yesterday's session. Those who didn't attend or couldn't attend yesterday's session or had any system issues, we will share its recording soon, okay, within 1 or 2 days, or if possible, I will try to share it today so you don't miss any of the classes, okay. So that we are gonna share soon. So please be patient. It takes time because of the system issues that we face on a regular basis. All right. So most of the links I had already shared in yesterday. So I will share it again. So common links. You can use this link. Means you can add these links to your favorites. Okay. So I have shared all the links related to IGNOU regional center. Select your regional center. Then MPC guide, MAPC guide for first year and second year. So please go through the MAPC guide. It has all the important information, and 90% of your queries will get resolved by just reading MAPC guides. Okay, it has all the examples. It says how one should study when they are learning from the they have attending a course that is distance, okay. So it all the guidelines are also given over there, and what are the subjects you can apply when you have submitted the assignments. All the details are already there, okay. Just go through that MAPC guide, okay. Then ebooks related to first year second year, I have shared that link, so you can go through the you if you have not received any of the hard copies or books from IGNOU, you can read those ebooks for free, okay. This is from IGNOU only, so you can download and read and on any of your devices. Then the previous year's question papers and assignments for the current year as well as for the past year, in case you are interested to know more about the assignments, okay. Apart from that, if you're waiting for the material to be delivered, you can go to the material status link and enter the details in order to find the status of your books, or else you can contact your regional center to get more information about it. Okay. Thank you, Lataji. Uh, are there any questions? Means what we discussed yesterday. If you have any question, feel free to let me know, or Romanaji know, or else we can directly get started with the classes. And again, we are gonna talk about the fee structure and everything at the end of the session. So if you are interested, please stay till the end, stay connected till the end. We will certainly share details in the group. So if you have any issues, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a message on WhatsApp, or you can directly contact me. Okay. Someone has raised their hand. Sanaji, yes. Do you have a question?
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. So my question is about the writing structure of the answers. So are you going to explain it in the end, or right now?
What is the means for what writing purpose? Your means is it for
For
assignments or for
assignments,
exam? Because
for
for assignments
assignments
we
and
already
for
discussed.
exams. Okay, okay, okay. I
Okay.
think I
For
did not attend
assignments
the.
we already discussed. Okay. So you can go through yesterday's recording as well. We will not be duplicating it because it just takes up a lot of time for the people who attended it. Okay, so you can just go through recording, and if you still have questions, then just post it in the group. We will try to answer it.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Okay.
sir.
So let me go through chats. Okay, what's about the scholarship in England? I'm not sure about that. So you probably need to know, go through the website and find out what kind of scholarship IGNOU provides. Okay, and probably Rumanaji is aware of that. I'm not really sure. So let's check with Rumanaji. Rumanaji, over to you.
Hi, Swapnil. Even I have not heard about any scholarship scheme right now. There was one earlier. I'm not sure if they still have it, or it is discontinued. I need to read about it a little, and then I'll be able to confirm. Yes, is this audible?
Now you are audible. Uh,
Okay, okay, great.
Once you are done speaking, please, guys, please put yourself on mute so there won't be any echo. Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. Over to you.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Swapnil ji. Fine. I'll just want to, since I think Sana ji or somebody asked about assignments. We will be talking about assignments, and I'll also personally guide you how to write the assignments, what matter to put in the assignment, how to submit, and everything. But we'll do that once we have the batch formed, since now it will take up lot of time to do that. Okay, and I basically want to clear some concepts and focus on the teaching right now. So if you are interested to know how to submit the assignment, what exactly to write, how to get more, fetch more marks in assignment, what are the allied fields, also allied short-term courses that you can do along with this topic, all of that we'll talk when once we have formed the batch, right? So now if we are talking about it, that will take at least 20 to 25 minutes, and we have a very organized and a very you can say a very watertight timing structure, so that nobody just spends more time here, and then they might have some work they are neglecting there. So we just hope that we finish this entire the studying part by 6:30. So if there's any other doubt, the person can ask in the group itself or personally or in the meeting also, right? So we are not going to take that up right now, but yes, once the class is over, we can talk a little bit about assignment if time permits. Otherwise, once the batch is formed, we are going to comprehensively guide you about it. Is that okay? Is Sanaji here?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Okay, okay, great. Yes. ठीक है. So, okay. So, hi everybody. I hope we have some of the friends who attended the class yesterday. I hope they are here today. Yesterday we talked about introduction to psychology and the emergence of psychology as a field, and also the branches, how it came about as a separate discipline, what are the applied parts of it. Today we are going to take up one applied part of psychology that is known as cognitive psychology, and we are going to see its emergence, its place in today's scenario, and what are the things that we are going to study under it. How is it important to us? How can we apply that in our day-to-day life, etc., etc. Okay, so I do not. Does everybody have the PDF of the MAPC first cognitive psychology first topic? Few can answer.
Yes.
No, ma'am.
No, okay, okay, fine. See, no need to panic if somebody, if अगर किसी के पास नहीं है, no issues. I'm going to tell you the skeletal part of it, and after the class is over, I would request Swapnil ji to post only that unit today in the group. Please go through. Again, you just see the recording once the recording is available, and I think then it will make proper sense. Okay, is that okay? So no need to panic, no need to write down everything. Just try to understand what I'm saying, because I'll try to form a coherent structure while I'm speaking. Okay, so no need to panic at it. I forgot this word, I couldn't write this word. So don't panic at all, right? Fine. So
Right, ma'am.
we'll go
Right.
yes, we'll just have a short recap of what we did yesterday. So can anybody tell me, just put that on mute, please? Yes. Um, can anybody tell me, with respect to yesterday's lecture, what is cognitive psychology, or what is the emphasis, or what is the scope of cognitive psychology? Can even one volunteer and tell me?
Cognitive psychology is the study of mental processes, how we think, how we remember, how we decide, decision making, problem solving, all the mental processes that comes in our cognition. They see us like a computer, input, processing, and output.
Yes, very good. That's a nice answer. Anybody else who wants to answer to this? Yes. Don't be scared. Whatever you feel, you can say. We are not marking you here. Okay. Right. Okay. So I'll directly come to what is cognitive psychology. See, first we have to understand that there is a basic process. Let me just give you an example. Suppose, since you have been, I'll take the lockdown as an example. Since it's almost 1 year to this COVID pandemic, many of us have spent lot of time in our house or with our family than what we had done in the past few years. Okay, so once you are with your family, there must be many things that you might have found out. So can anybody tell me, during this lockdown, when you were under, you say, home isolation or self quarantine, was there anything different that you felt that you had not noticed in all these years, even being with your family or being in touch with your family? Is there anything that you noticed? Anything new? Anything surprising? No, nobody. Nobody
No such,
noticed any, no such
basic,
things. Okay,
no
like
such thing.
like for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say you never knew that your sister is very good in paper craft or something like that. Or maybe you never knew that your father is such a good cook. Something like this. Did you ever did you find out something new during this lockdown?
Yes, ma'am.
Cooking and cleaning skills, sanitation, cooking, cleaning.
Great. Okay, good. And
I
what
found out
else?
that my husband is a good cook.
Great. Okay, good. Yes. So why I asked you this question is because, see, there are so many things that are already present before us, but it is only with the context and also with the time that we give attention to it. Okay. So the basis of cognitive psychology is three things. Number one is the sensation. What do we sense? Second is how much attention we pay to those sensations. And third, after we have paid attention, what is the interpretation of that entire thing to us? Okay. So, cognitive psychology, you can say that as we are trying to make meaning of the mental processes or the behavior or whatever is around us, three things are most important. One is sensation, second is attending to it, and third is interpreting it, right? I hope this is clear for everybody. Now, why did cognitive psychology, you can say, why did cognitive psychology gain prominence? Now, all those people who have attended any of the last lectures, once we had talked about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, so in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, earlier it was 5 needs, now it has been extended to 8. So you will see now we have a new need, cognitive need, okay, aesthetic needs, cognitive needs, and self transcendence. Why? Why cognitive? Why was it given so much importance? It was given so much importance because psychology, when it started off as a discipline, it treated human beings as very mechanical, as we talked yesterday. Okay, it treated human beings as a result of stimulus and response. It treated human beings in something which was out of context. I mean, whatever you will give, if you'll give, let's say A, B, C are three persons. If you give something to, if you give a stimulus to A will react in a way, B will also react in same way, C will also react in same way. This is what psychology at the beginning understood when it was trying to understand behaviors in the simplest form. But then people understood that it is not as simple as it seems, and there is again a you can say attending part to it, interpretation part to it, which is very subjective and which will uh, differ from person to person. Okay, it is during that time that cognitive psychology came up or cognitive psychology gained prominence. Okay, now uh, um, as I told you, there's a difference between brain and mind. Similarly, people started having these doubts that when we have information within us, or when we are trying to, make sense of the knowledge that is available to us. So basically, where does this knowledge come from? Okay, they had this thing that where does this knowledge come from? Does it come from books? Does it come from your own self, as in your mind or your brain or your heart, etc.? Where does this knowledge exactly come from? So at that point in time, two groups emerged. Okay, one group is known as the empiricist and another group is known as the nativists. Okay, so what did empiricists say? Empiricists say that all these knowledge that we get to see all comes from our experience. Okay, whereas nativists say that all the knowledge that we get, what that we understand, they come from our brain. Okay, so there was a little bit of tussle there with experience as in the external source and with brain as in the internal source, but they could not reach to a final conclusion. Okay, and as you know, there are always very Greek philosophers who have guided us in so many topics apart from psychology. So there was a Greek philosopher known as Aristotle, there was one known as Plato. I think everybody is aware of it. Even they had this they had this viewpoint among themselves, whether knowledge comes from brain or knowledge comes from heart. And this discussion and this viewpoint went on for many years. Okay, until a period known as Renaissance. Okay, Renaissance. I'll just spell out the term for you. I do not know. Many people spell it differently. They pronounce it differently. Sorry, not spell it. They pronounce it differently. Naissance. Okay, so many people say it as Renasa, many people say it's Renasa, so I do not know how to pronounce it. Okay, so does anybody know what is Renasa? Can just anybody tell me? I think you might have studied about this in history, especially in world history. So can even a single person just tell me what is Renasa?
I mean, sociology, we have read about it. It means cultural
Okay.
rebirth, the birth of culture, modernization.
Okay. Anybody else? What is Renaissance? Okay, so what do we mean by culture rebirth? That is a very right thing that you told, that it is a cultural rebirth. But what exactly is cultural rebirth?
मैम पहले ज़माने में एनलाइटमेंट नहीं था, रैशनैलिटी मैम नहीं था, इलॉजिकल रीजनिंग था। तो अब इंसान ने जो है एनलाइटमेंट पीरियड आ गया, वो सोचने लगा, वो समझने लगा और अपनी राय देने लगा और कंक्लूजन्स ड्रॉ करने लगा। एनिमिज्म नहीं था अब जो।
ओके, तो ये रेनेसा पीरियड कब आया, या फिर व्हाट वाज द मेन टर्निंग पॉइंट इन रेनेसा? व्हाई इज इट, जैसे इफ यू लुक एट हिस्ट्री, one of the turning point in history is the industrial revolution of 1600. Okay, that is the most मतलब आप बोल सकते हैं history is part 1 before 1600 and history is part 2 before 16 after 1600. So why was industrial revolution important? Like, let me give you an example. Because when industrial revolution started, the idea of profit making or the idea of business, the idea of industries came into the mind of the person or people, and they started having new inventions and discoveries जिससे ज्यादा काम कम time में हो सकता है. Like when we had steam engine, तो मान लीजिए if we had to go from one place to other, तो 3 दिन लगते थे. With the advent of steam engine, बस 12 घंटे ही लगने लगे. So obviously there was lot of work in less time, and that is why the boom happened. So similarly, can somebody just tell me what is Renaissance? Because Renaissance has got a deep connection with cognitive psychology. So just think ki why is that period called Renaissance, and what is the turning point in Renaissance?
Ma'am,
But in the history,
before
ma'am, it was known as rebirth, basically. In history, we have learned it in grade
ma'am,
10, or I think so.
When,
Ma'am,
when we let's say we say renovation. So what is renovation? Already a structure is present and you are making it more beautiful. So when we are saying
Yes.
rebirth, already something is there and आप उस पे थोड़ा और कुछ आप बढ़ा रहे हो. So tell me
Yes.
what was there, what changed?
ma'am, before Renaissance, the truth was, according to people, the truth was only into religious scripts only. And after
Yes.
Renaissance, people started thinking about the real truth. They started being rational and logical.
Yes.
They
Yes,
tried to look, yeah.
Yeah, very close. See, there was just one thing that happened in Renaissance which turned the entire way the world functioned. All those people who do not know about it, I'll say Renaissance is basically a term which means rebirth, as somebody was pointing out. What happened is, before Renaissance,
Learning.
every every theory was being governed by what the religious leaders used to say, or the religious priests used to say. People
Yes.
never questioned. The idea of questioning first started in Renaissance. Okay, so that is the rebirth. You had a particular way of life where you used to accept whatever was told to you, and now you have a rebirth where you question everything. 2 3 persons told me about being logical. Where does this word logical, or where does this concept of logicality come from? When they started asking questions, and when they saw that the answers they got were not logical. Like, let's say I'll ask you that why does it happen that in certain months the tree sheds its leaves, whereas some trees don't shed its leaves? Now, there is a logical explanation to it, okay? But मान लीजिए somebody will tell you, नहीं इसलिए होता है because God is happy with those trees and God is not happy with these kind of trees. Now, पहले people used to, accept this explanation. But during this Renaissance period, when so many philosophers and so many you can say people started questioning the authority, that no, you have to explain us, what does being angry mean? You have to explain us, what about those trees which totally die? What about those trees? Or what about those trees which actually grow? They have lost all the leaves, but they still grow. So it was during that this questioning period that that rebirth, or you can say the cultural development or the rationality came about. Okay, so how does it affect cognitive psychology is, earlier people used to make sense of their environment as they were told by the authorities or by the religious leaders or priests, etc. But once this renaissance started, people tried to understand why things happened around them. Like they used to think, okay, I hope everybody knows what is an illusion. I think illusion everybody knows. Okay, when it's very hot and the road looks as if there is water in there. So many people started asking questions, that why is it that we are seeing illusions? Many people started thinking, why do we perceive the things the way we do? Many people started asking, why does this happen? Like, let's say, suppose there is, I do not know, we'll study all these deeply in perception, but let me give you an example. Man lijiye, you see a building which has a very rough surface, but if you see it from far, it will look very plain. But if you go and see from a very nearby distance, it will look very rough. So people started asking these questions, that why does this happen? What is the relation of our vision with the way we perceive things? What is the relation of our feelings with the way we perceive things? And all these questioning came about. Okay, so Renaissance basically gave a boost to all these questions that people earlier used to accept without asking questions, and now they started asking questions. And they also a psychological inquiry period came about, and they started to find out the answers for this. Okay, so that is why Renaissance is one of the most important period for emergence of cognitive psychology. Okay, is this understood by everybody, or does anybody have any questions with this?
Ma'am,
Yes.
मैम रेनेसा को broadening of wisdom कह सकते हैं मैम, enlightenment in terms of wisdom, questioning,
ब्रॉडनिंग
logic.
ऑफ विजडम है, लाइक वो
जी
ब्रॉडनिंग ऑफ विजडम ही है, बट
जी
रेनेसा
मैम.
को हम ब्रॉडनिंग ऑफ विजडम नहीं कहेंगे. ब्रॉडनिंग ऑफ विजडम रेनेसा का एक बाय प्रोडक्ट है या एक आउटकम है. रेनेसा
जी जी
बेसिकली एक प्रोसेस है जिसमें देर इज मोर ऑफ क्वेश्चनिंग, देर इज मोर ऑफ वांटिंग टू नो, ये सब उसमें हुआ एज अ प्रोसेस. और उसका बाय प्रोडक्ट ये हुआ कि लोग ज्यादा अवेयर हुए, लोग ज्यादा लॉजिकल होने लगे, लोग ज्यादा एक्सपेरिमेंट्स में बिलीव करने लगे, लोग ज्यादा साइंटिफिक टेम्पर बिल्ड करने लगे. सो दीज आर द इफेक्ट्स. ओके, एंड
जी.
these asking questions and being logical, these are the process. Okay, yes,
Right मैम. मैम, thank you.
most welcome. Okay, so apart from this, now cognitive psychology gained some prominence. People started thinking about what happened around them, etc., etc. Then comes behaviorism. Okay, behaviorism became little popular. I talked to you about behaviorism yesterday. So behaviorism was very much about stimulus and response. If this is the stimulus we give to the person, this is the response we'll get. So cognitive psychology started to actually break that notion that people do not act as very mechanical in terms of receiving stimulus and giving response. So at this point, there was a person known as Tolman, 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 who conducted a very nice experiment on cognitive maps. Is there anybody who knows about this, Tolman and cognitive map?
Right मैम, on rats he had conducted the experiment.
Yes. Yes. Anybody who knows about this experiment? Since I wish to tell you the experiment. So is there anybody who knows, or should I just say? Fine, I'll just tell you the experiment. See, what do you mean by a cognitive map? Cognitive map is, suppose every day you go to your college from your house, okay? And when I'll ask you, what are the things, or what are the buildings, or what are the hoardings, what kind of lanes, what kind of electric pole, etc., you see in your route, You will take some time and you can tell me that, okay, man, this is first when you go on the left, you will see a greenhouse, and then you move little aage, then you will see a hotel there. Then you go little aage, you will see you will see two shops there, and you can actually tell me with the approximate distance. Okay, so what you have done is that entire route you have saved in your mind as a cognitive map. Okay, now the next question that came about is, do everybody save this cognitive map in their mind? Does everybody have a cognitive map? So Tolman, this person known as Tolman, he wanted to uh, tell the world that cognitive map is used by everybody, and everybody saves certain cognitive maps for every distance they travel, or for every landmark they have, but they will only exhibit it when they are motivated to do so, or when they have a goal to do so. Okay, so let me give you an example. So what he did, or what is meant by this, is he basically wanted to refute the claims of behaviorists that if you have a stimulus, you will definitely have a response. So what Tolman did is, Tolman had some rats. He divided the rats into three groups. Okay, तीन groups उन्होंने बनाए. तो he had a maze. Maze आप समझते हैं, उसका हिंदी मुझे नहीं पता. Maze is like वो होते हैं ना कुछ कुछ ऐसे
सही है
games,
Yes, ma'am.
जैसे
मैम
you
भूल
understand,
भुलैया
right?
सॉरी
Puzzles.
हाँ भूल
I
भुलैया.
mean, not puzzles.
Yes,
हाँ, भूल भुलैया. Right, right, right.
जी जी मैम
yes,
एजुकेशनल बेस भी है बुक्स पे टॉम एंड जेरी का मैम सॉरी टू इंटरप्ट
exactly. So, no problem. So it will be like, suppose you have an orange here, and suppose you are here, बहुत सारे रास्ते और ways होंगे, and you have to find out which is the easiest way, or which is the way for that person A to reach the orange. तो आप ऐसे ऐसे बहुत सारे ways बना के you will go and reach. Is I hope everybody understands now what is a maze, because अगर आप maze नहीं समझेंगे you will not understand this thing. Okay. So okay. Otherwise, let me draw a maze. A छोटा सा maze I'll draw for you. You just see. See, suppose this is like, I don't know if whether it's visible or not. Is it visible? Too small though. No? Is it visible by any chance? See, it's something like this, okay? It's like a maze. There's a
No,
person A,
ma'am.
orange. Is it visible? Well, you understood, right? It's like a point A, and the person has to go to a point B, and then there are many pathways and crossways, and he has to cross over, and he has to go, and he has to reach that point B. Okay. So what Tolman did is, Tolman made these maze. He made many maze. Okay. He just made a maze and many pathways. He had three groups of rats, and at the end of the pathway, he had food. He had some food. Now, what he did for the group A, he did this experiment for 17 days, 17 days. And what he did is, first group ke rats ko, he made them move in the maze for 17 days. So they kept moving in the maze, moving in the maze. And then, sorry, I just got a message, one moment. No problem. I was just showing it on the paper I had. So no issues. I'm just explaining it to you. You'll understand. No problem. Okay. So what happened? What Tolman did is, for the first group of rats, he kept some food at the end of the maze. Okay. So आप मान लीजिए day one the rat are moving about the maze. Maybe उनको उस दिन नहीं मिला. They could not know where the end is. Second day, third day, fourth day. The last day, or the day when they reached the maze, they actually ate the food. So they were very happy, and that for them the experiment was over. The second group he did is, he had a delayed reward. What is delayed reward? For 1 to 10 days, he made the rats move in the maze. They even reached the end, but then he didn't give them any food. Okay. Again, from 11th day to 17th day, again he repeated the experiment. When the rat reached the end, he gave them food. So that was a delayed reward. Although you have solved the question, still you are not being given the reward there and then. You are given the reward at the end, okay, when the experimenter wants. And the third group of rats, they kept on moving and they found out their way, but they were never given any reward. So the second group, जिनका delayed reward था, when they were put in the maze, ekdam se they went and reached the reward, okay, in the second phase of the experiment, which showed that now since it was a delayed reward and since they got reward at the end, they were reinforced in a certain way that they had a certain goal and purpose in their mind to reach at the end, okay. Now what do they mean by this is, when you are forming a cognitive map of a particular road or a particular route, you have to have you need to feel some rewards in it. Let's say आपके कॉलेज जाने के लिए 4-5 रास्ते होंगे, but you go in a particular way because you think maybe that is the shortest, or you may think that is least crowded, or you may think that is the most cleanest, you know, roads out of the all 4 or 5 ones. So when you have a purpose and when you have a need, that is the time when you learn the most, and that is the time when you remember these cognitive maps a lot, okay, which was exhibited by group B rats, okay. So this was given by Tolman, and once this was done, that entire thrust of stimulus and response by behaviorist, it got a blow, because then when what did behaviorism do, it always used to undermine the importance of context, and it always used to undermine the importance of need, motives. Like मैंने कल आपको बताया था, you cannot lure or you cannot make a person agree to you by giving him a reward in which he has no interest. Okay, now let me give you an example. Yesterday I was talking about veg and non-veg. Now let me give you an example. Suppose you think that suppose you have to attend the birthday party of a 7-year-old child, and you think that a book on APJ Abdul Kalam will be a wonderful gift for that child. But the moment you go and give him that, he might not be interested at all, because he was expecting chocolates, or maybe he was expecting a toy, or maybe he was expecting something more adventurous, or something, you know, something more lively. It's very tough to actually make a 7-year-old read a book, and that was of somebody so profound and deep, okay. So what by all of this they meant, that you need to know what is going on in the person's mind, or the person himself needs to know what is going on in his mind, what is the context, what reward can, you know, attract him, what reward can actually repel him, and this is how only you can use these things in your day-to-day life. So is this much understood by everybody? Then we'll go to the next topic.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
anybody wants to add something to it? Yes, okay, great. So this was one thing. Now next we come to something known as, see, I am trying to actually teach from the, I'm trying to cover everything that is there in the IGNOU booklet only. So ऐसा हो सकता है, I might do one thing पहले and the other section later, because it is the best way to understand. So don't think कि ये छूट गया. That will be covered anyhow, okay? So after this, after we have understood the emergence of cognitive psychology, then this was important. Then you have other things like an experiment laboratory was opened, and this was done, that was done. These are very factual. I will not explain anything factual, because those are only to be remembered, okay. All those things which need a little bit of explanation, I'll tell them. Now next we come to what are the domains of cognitive psychology. So basically we have 12 domains of cognitive psychology, as I think all of you must be aware. We do not read all 12, but yes, the most common ones are perception, memory, and attention. Then you have consciousness, okay, and then you will have language, imagery, thinking. Yes, these are the most common ones that we'll read, okay. Fine. Now, let me just talk about each of the branches little bit, okay. So let's start with something known as cognitive neuroscience, okay. I think it's available in your screen, you can just see cognitive neuroscience, okay. So what is cognitive neuroscience? Cognitive neuroscience is it is you can say it is a discipline that is where both cognitive part is dependent on neuroscience, and neuroscience part is dependent on cognitive part. So how does this happen? Now let's see. We want to know what is the role, or what is the role of our brain in the various decisions we make, in the way we act, or in the way we perceive things. So what we do, we try to find out from the functioning of our brain, that how this happens. Okay, so how that can be done? That can be done in three ways. Number one, if a person is already having some cognitive deficit, we can try to see his behavior, or look at his mental processes by placing electrodes or anything. That is one part. Second, we can do, if we are having some specialized techniques like brain imaging and all of these, scanning and magnetic resonance and etc etc. And third is after death. So sometimes after death also, if a person was suffering from, let's say, a very critical disease, and he has, he just died, so through post-mortem and everything also we can know. Okay, so these are some of the ways where we can find out the brain activity, and from functioning of the brain we can know what a person is thinking, how a person is feeling, how has he, how are his thought process, etc etc. Okay, now coming to next is perception. So what is perception? The simplest definition of perception is interpretation of sensory information is perception. So we have five senses. I think everybody knows that. So when we get those sensory information, or we get the sensory input, the way we interpret it, that itself is perception. For example, let's say you come to my kitchen, and I have placed a kadhai just to the gas stove, and you touch it, and you suddenly withdraw your hand. So what does this mean? It means it was very hot. Okay, so what you did is you interpreted कि कढ़ाई बहुत ही ज्यादा गर्म है, probably अभी इसमें खाना बना था और just उसको अभी side में किसी ने रखा होगा. So this is, you got a sensation, that is a sensation of heat. Through what? Through your skin. And what have you interpreted it as? That the kadhai was very hot, or the kadhai is still very hot. Okay, so that is, in the simplest of definition, perception is interpretation of sensory information. Okay, now the next one that we have is Swapnil ji, we can actually go to the drawing only. We can just go to the drawing. Just move little up. Just put the domains wala part as you had put. Yes, only that much. We'll explain. No need to read everything. They'll get the PDF. They can read it. Just one moment. Yes. So next is thinking and concept formation. So what is thinking? Thinking is basically how you attend to the events around you. Okay, what do you actually how do you process whatever you have before you? That is known as thinking and concept formation. What is concept formation? Let's say like cognitive map. You have a certain information before you, and you are trying to develop it into a concept, or you are trying to develop into a meaningful whole. That would be known as thinking and concept formation. Okay, and what is attention? Attention is, you have a lot of information before you, you decide what is important for you, or you decide to what you have to pay your attention, or to what you have to give your, or direct your most energy to. That is attention. Now what is representation of knowledge? All that you have learned in terms of your memory, in terms of your perception, in terms of your attention and thinking, concept formation, when that you put forth, okay, that when you put forth before somebody, or when you try to make meaning out of it for yourself, that is known as representation of knowledge. Okay, just one moment. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just got a call. Yes. Next is consciousness. So what is consciousness? This is a very, very good question. I think we had done little bit of consciousness in yesterday's class when we were talking about structuralism and functionalism. Consciousness means to be aware of whatever is happening around you at the present moment. Let's say right now, I'm talking to you. So I'm aware that I am on a video call. I'm talking to people. I'm talking to people about cognitive psychology. I'm talking to them about domains of cognitive psychology, etc., etc. Similarly, you are also aware that you are attending a class. You are listening to somebody speaking on this. You are looking at a picture at your phone, etc., etc. So consciousness means you are particularly aware of what is happening at the present moment. Okay. Why is consciousness related to structuralism and functionalism? Because kal jab hum baat kar rahe the, we had talked that they were trying to find out what are the building blocks of your mind, how is the functioning of your mind. So that cannot happen if you are not aware, because you are being aware, you are being alert, and you are trying to individualize, or you are trying to segregate each and every thought or experience in being present in the being aware in the present time. So that is known as consciousness. Okay. Now next we come to memory. So what is memory? Memory is retrieving information that is already stored in your mind. Okay. Let's say you, I think everybody knows about long term memory, short term memory. um, um, and then again we have divisions of that: semantic memory, autobiographical memory, then you have something known as episodic memory, then photographic memory. So many types of memories there. When we'll do memory chapter, we'll come to it. So memory is basically when you have made meaning of all these things and you have stored it in yourself, and you are trying to retrieve it. What do you mean by retrieve? आप उस जो भी चीज को आपने स्टोर किया आपके माइंड में, जब जरूरत पड़े आप उसको वापस present time या awareness में ला सकते हैं. Like for example, today I told you about 12 domains of psychology. Let's say after 1 week we'll have a class, and I will just tell you that okay, can anybody tell me how many domains of cognitive psychology did we study? तो आप क्या कर रहे हैं? Basically आप जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोर किए हैं अपने दिमाग में, उस चीज को अभी अवेयरनेस में ला रहे हैं. सो सबके लिए दिस इज अगेन डिफरेंट. तो somebody will tell, ma'am, we studied 12. Somebody will say, ma'am, I don't remember the exact number, but probably it was 8 to 10. See, 8 to 10. Somebody will say, ma'am, I don't remember the number actually, but all I remember was there was a circle and there was some lines and some domains were written, probably 7 to 8 maybe. Somebody will say, ma'am, I don't remember anything since I just joined, like last 5 minutes I joined, but I only remember that you were talking about language or something related to language. Now see, this is what you had stored in your mind and you are now retrieving it back. So that process is known as memory. Okay. Now, next one is imagery. What is imagery? Just like cognitive map would mean something very continuous, whereas imagery would mean very isolated parts of information that you have saved in terms of image. So yesterday I was talking about a house. When we talk about, like drawing a house, we draw a very simplistic version of a house. Similarly, if somebody tells you to draw a cat, so how do you draw a cat? You just make one circle, uske niche one circle, 2 eyes and a nose and a tail, and that is a cat. So basically the simplistic version. So agar aapne जैसे मान लीजिए cat, whenever I'll tell you a cat, you will fatafat remember that simplistic structure. Or let's say, what is imagery? You have certain templates stored in your mind. Now many a times we'll see some animals, जैसे हमारे generally life में we see very less variety of animals, but once you open these channels like National Geographic or Science Discovery channels, आप कुछ ऐसे एनिमल्स देखेंगे आपने उन्हें कभी देखा नहीं है पहले. So you will say, like, let's say I'm giving an example. Yeah, this looks like a dog, but the way it jumps, it resembles a kangaroo. Okay. Or maybe this looks like a cat, but the way it is walking, it appears as a fox. Now see, these are, you have a template of a fox, you have a template of a cat, but ye jo you have, by a template I mean image of a cat and image of a fox in your mind. When you are experiencing some animal जो कि does not fall completely into the cat category, does not fall completely into the fox category, you become very confused. But this happens with only some of the information of the world. For the majority of the things, you know that yes, this looks like a particular animal. So the most common example of this would be fish. Now we have different kind of fish in Indian market as well, but you know what a fish looks like. It will be a animal which will have scales, which will have fins, and which will have a tail. So जब आप market में जाते हैं, you can very well distinguish between a fish, between a snake, between a lizard. Okay, how do you do that? Because you have certain image of certain animals stored as templates in your mind. Okay, so that is how you make sense of the world, right? Now next we have language. So I think language is understood yes.
Schemas,
Yes.
ma'am.
Schemas, absolutely. So schema, mental imagery, and there's one more word also I'm forgetting. Schemas, mental imagery, and mental representations, templates. These are all grouped into one. Okay, they are very very small differences, but on a larger whole, you will see that all of them are used interchangeably and they're very much similar. Okay. Now, next we come to language. So what is language? Language, I think all of us understand when we want to acquire certain symbols, certain signs, and certain spoken words of a language of anything that helps us to communicate. That is known as language. So language is actually a very important topic of cognitive psychology. That is why you will also see we have a separate you can say a course designed on language and psychology called as the neuro linguistic programming as well. So how do we use all these information and how do we communicate that? Basically, how do we communicate verbally? That is basically the concept of language under cognitive psychology. Then we have developmental psychology. What is developmental psychology? Developmental psychology is ever since the child is born, how does he get all the information from the environment, how he processes it, at what age, what behavior he exhibits, what are his logical explanation for few things. Let's say, मान लीजिए, when you ask a child that suppose you have water in a glass, and you have a tall glass and you have a short glass which basically have the same measurement. Let's say it can hold 200 milliliter of water, the tall one also and the short one also, and you pour water in both, the child will always say the taller one has more water. Okay, so but when you are an adult, you will never say this. You will see and you'll say probably they have the same amount. So these things, these how the child makes use of the information available to him and how he makes sense of the world around him, that we'll study under development psychology. And then we have pattern recognition. So pattern recognition is very much under the Gestalt school of psychology. We have certain patterns, and then what we do is we don't study them individually as parts, we study them as complete wholes. Okay, so this is where again imagery, template, and all of these comes. Okay, suppose let me give you an example. Suppose you have one line and one line here, and you have a line in the middle. So if we ask people what does this mean, many of us will tell this is the letter H, but it is not a letter H. It is one line separate, and a line in the middle. It is not a letter H, but this is how they see it as letter H and not two vertical lines and one horizontal line. Okay, so that is pattern recognition. Last is human and artificial intelligence. So what is human and artificial intelligence? Intelligence is again a very, very important part in cognitive psychology. We are going to learn that in detail of the models and of the various types of intelligence, and how we deal with the environment, etc., etc. So what is human intelligence and what is artificial intelligence? Human intelligence is all those kinds of intelligence through which we try to solve a problem, we come to a decision, we try to deal with our environment. These are the human intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence is when you make a machine useful enough to work for you, that is known as artificial intelligence. Now, like let's say you have your alarm clock. Earlier alarm clock, you will say when it never existed, uh, people didn't know about it, and then a time comes when people know about alarm clock and the way it has progressed. Now we have talking alarms. Okay, yes, also computer. Now talking alarms will actually tell you, you can actually record messages in alarm now. that wake up, it is 5 o'clock, you have to go for exercise. Now this is an example of artificial intelligence. What is next example of artificial intelligence? uh, if you have seen a iron, or if you have seen your mobile phone, the moment it reaches 100%, it gets cut off automatically. Again, that is artificial intelligence, because now your machine is so intelligent that it knows that I have to stop here, otherwise I will explode, or some mishap will happen. Okay, so that now your machine has become intelligent, and you don't have to be intelligent enough to count the time and come back and then disconnect it after 1 hour. Your machine knows that, okay, I'm full now and I should be disconnected. So these are few examples of artificial intelligence. Yes, somebody was saying something. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Robots.
Yes, robots, very good example. Robots, computers, then you have your alarm clock, anything that has made your life easy, and your machine has become more, has reduced your workload, I will say, in
Right.
terms of your watch time or your being alert, will be human, will be artificial intelligence. Okay.
Like,
Yes. So is there
sorry
any
for
question here? Or, sorry?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
I have a question regarding this artificial intelligence. My
Yes.
question is that how does it help in understanding the human behavior by the artificial intelligence?
See, it does not actually help in understanding the human behavior. It just supplements it. For example, let's say, just tell me why was okay. I'll give you an example. Tell me, why was alarm clock invented in the first place? Earlier, people used to just wake up without even using an alarm clock. Earlier, people used to remain very alert. See, you remember, I mean, you try to remember the days before 15, 20 years ago when people had landline and you used to remember a lot of numbers. Now you don't do that. Now you have your cell phone, you just type the first two letters and you will have the number. So basically, it does not understand human behavior. It understands the needs of the human being at present time, and that is how they are built to cater to those needs. Human behavior, as in, it will not understand. For human behavior to understand, we'll have to take the help of neuroscience, not artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is only there to reduce your alert time and to cater to your needs of making your life more easy. That's it. Right. Yes, whoever was asking. Sorry, I
can I,
don't know the name.
I was asking. My name is Akshit.
Yes, Akshay. Yes.
Uh,
You, yeah.
because now
You wanted, huh.
one more question is
Hmm.
that artificial intelligence has become enough intelligent that they can understand easily human being, and they are able to control humans.
They are able to control human. That's what I'm saying. They are not used to directly understand human behavior, and they cannot do it as well. To understand human behavior, we have to go through the channel of neuroscience. Now, why artificial intelligence is gaining prominence or is becoming important is only because we are trying to design machines in the way that they can help us in the least time in the maximum way. Okay, so why it will be useful for us is, like, suppose somebody is very lazy. Now let me give you an example. Suppose somebody is very lazy. Whenever the whenever the alarm goes, the person snooze, he'll just snooze it and he'll not wake up. Now what extra has been added to it just to mend this lazy behavior is, the moment the alarm goes off, you will also have some apps relating to it. It will give you a math sum, or it will give you a some simple easy sum, like in this entire grid, cancel out all the t's or all the p or all the o or all the q, and after the person does that, only then the alarm will stop. So that is again, here, if you are talking about behavior, here it is understood that this thing will help the lazy people to get up, and not skip their whatever routine they have to do. So this is how they will understand behavior, but they can never directly understand the behavior. For directly understanding the behavior, it has to be neuroscience, and for behavior accentuated activities, we use artificial intelligence, because that cuts down on our alert time, and that makes our life easy. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
can I ask?
Yes, Please, yes.
Right. Ma'am, I'm having this question. Ma'am, ये attention के लिए consciousness जरूरी है, हम क्या कह सकते हैं consciousness is a precursor of attention? Please clear this confusion.
What is a precursor? Sorry, I didn't get that question. Sorry.
Right, ma'am.
Attention
Can we
के
say,
लिए?
ma'am, can we say that consciousness is a precursor of attention? That means कि अगर important है, attentive होने के लिए important है कि conscious होना जरूरी है?
Definitely, consciousness will be a precursor to everything, because if you are not alert and if you are not in the present scenario and if you are not aware of the things that are happening to you, you cannot do anything. Neither you can attend, neither you can, interpret the situation, neither you can be aware of what is going around you. So, yes, consciousness definitely is the first step, and only after that everything will come. Okay.
Right. Second one, ma'am, you were talking about Edward Tolman, ma'am, purposive behaviorism. Ma'am,
Yes,
kindly
purpose of
throw light
behaviorism.
on it. Right, ma'am.
Yeah, I just talked about the cognitive map, right? I just told that if you do not have a particular need or a particular purpose or a particular goal, there are many things, whether even if you learn them, you will not exhibit them. Okay. Let's say many a times what happens, suppose somebody has taught you self-defense, how to defend yourself. Somebody has taught you some moves, do this, hit like this, hit like that. But if that situation does not come, and if you do not have the necessity to exhibit, you will not exhibit. So similarly, that is what they told, that behaviorism, they said that whenever there is a stimulus, there will be a response. It is not necessary, because if a person does not feel there is a need to exhibit the behavior or exhibit the reaction, he will not do it. Okay, like for example, मान लीजिए somebody, जब भी आप उसको कभी कोई insulting बात बोलते हैं, the person reacts. Okay, so suppose behaviorist will categorize that a stimulus word is an insulting word is a stimulus. You give it to a person and the person will react in a certain way, or a person will react. But there would be many people who would prefer not to react or not even give attention to it, right? So this is where this need, goals, and this context comes up, which cognitive psychology tried to put forward.
Right, ma'am. I'm like latent learning in rats, ma'am. All
Absolutely, it is latent learning. Yes, it is latent learning. When you're not exhibiting something but you have learned, it will be latent learning. It will be with you only.
right. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. So, is there anything else? Any questions, or we'll just take 1 minute break and then we'll come to the next topic. That is the research methods used in psychology or used in cognitive psychology. Okay. We'll just take 1 minute break and I'll come back.
Actually, ma'am, I have two questions because I joined the classes late, so I want to know the cognitive neuroscience and perception. Can you clear it? Hello.
Yes, cognitive neuroscience and perception, right? Perception is basically interpretation of the sensory information. Okay, whatever information your senses have gathered, you pay attention to them and you interpret it. So that is perception in normal terms. And neuroscience will be everything to do with the brain. So how your brain activity is basically responsible, the way you think, the way you act, that will be cognitive neuroscience. So for to do that, there are three methods. One, if a person already has a cognitive deficit, we can learn it from the behavior he exhibits. Okay. Number two, if a person is suffering from some cognitive deficit and he dies, then during postmortem we can find out. And third is, if we place some electrode or maybe through brain imaging techniques or from through magnetic resonance techniques, through this also we can know. So this would be cognitive neuroscience, where you are actually trying to understand or study the cognitive deficits or the brain in general, using some specialized tools or some specialized imaging techniques or some techniques or equipments. Whereas perception in simple terms is just interpreting the sensory information around you, right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, most.
Ma'am, there's always a confusion between the two terms, perception and apperception. Ma'am, what is the difference between both?
A perception is totally different and perception is totally different. So a perception, we'll take it in the further classes, since it will
Right, ma'am.
mean we need to have some examples of it. We'll take it in the
Right,
in
right,
the
ma'am.
classes.
Right,
Yes.
ma'am. As you wish, ma'am. Right, ma'am. मैम बस जहन में आ गया था इसलिए मैम.
No problem. Okay. Fine. One moment. Yes. So now next we'll go to research methods in cognitive psychology. So does anybody have any idea about the research methods, or why do we do research? What are the various types of variables, like dependent variables, independent variables, control variable, confounding variable? Does anybody have any idea about this?
Yes, ma'am. Extraneous variables, research,
Yes.
descriptive, fundamental research,
Yes.
observation, case study, naturalistic
So
observation,
yes, yes.
interview
Fine.
questionnaire.
So I'll just tell you the normal process in research and how is this generally helpful. How do they go about in psychology? So, सबसे पहले, if you have to conduct a research, you have to first find out. There is something known as hypothesis. I do not know. I'm assuming that many of you are quite new to psychology. So what is basically a hypothesis? Does anybody know? At least just write in the chat box whether you know or not. Just write yes or no. So that way I will try to explain ekdam from the basic. I will explain. Does
Yes,
everybody know what
Yes,
hypothesis is?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
tentative,
Yes.
We know
A
a little bit.
tentative solution to a problem.
Tentative
scientific.
solution?
To a
No, no, no.
problem.
Ma'am, assumption, yes.
Yes, it is an assumption. Yes. It is a presupposition or assumption. So what would hypothesis mean? Suppose you, okay, no problem. I'll tell you what is an example of a hypothesis would be, let's say, just say we'll say that um, poor people are less happy. Now this is your hypothesis. This is what you're thinking, that poor people are less happy. So you have found out your hypothesis. Now you want to conduct a research on it, that whether this is true or this is false. Okay. So what would you do first? Sabse pehle, you will form a research question around it. Okay. That poor people are less happy. Then if you want, you can form more, then you can add some more, like in terms of gender, in terms of education, in terms of, you can say, age, etc., etc. Okay. Then you have to have you can say literature. You will go back to see if certain or similar kind of an experiment was done before as well. Okay. So you will go through all of that. Then you will collect your data. Then you will analyze your data. You will interpret your data. Then you will use some you will analyze, you will collect your data. Then you will have to use some statistical methods. Then you will analyze, you will interpret. Then you will use some confounding variables. Then you will
And we have lost your
sorry, did I
voice.
just disconnect? Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Did
ma'am,
I
your
just
voice
disconnect? Is it
not
okay now?
audible. Right, right, ma'am,
Yes,
you're
is it?
audible.
No, it's okay, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay. I'm so sorry. I just got disconnected. I got a call in between. Yes. Okay. So this is how we will continue. Okay. Now, since this is a very huge part, I will just tell you a few of the very important. Let's take a very simplistic view of a research. Okay. We'll not talk about these literature review and something. We'll take a very simplistic view. अगर आपने आज से 10-12 साल पहले हॉर्लिक्स का एड देखा होगा, what did they say? That Horlicks makes children taller, sharper and stronger. ये सबने देखा होगा, right? I assume कि सबने देखा होगा. There was this ad in Horlicks जो Horlicks, I think Horlicks only or Bonvita, I'm not sure, but it was some of the health drink कि this health drinks makes the children taller, sharper and stronger. तो राइट, तो ये आपने कैसे अज्यूम किया that your health drink will make children taller, sharper and stronger? So what they did is In the advertisements only, advertisement only, they told that we took about 100 children. हमने उनका दो groups बनाया. एक को हमने एक normal health drink दे दिया और एक को हमने Horlicks health drink दिया. तो after let's say about 2 months, हमने दोनों के parameters को measure किया. For taller, we used the height scale. तो जो लोग Horlicks पीते थे, they had grown by 1 inch or 1.5 inch. Taller, sharper is again they gave some IQ test. So pehle they used to like score less on the people who had just normal health drink, they scored less. Lekin the people who had taken Horlicks, they scored better. Uske baad stronger. So again, they gave them some games or something. So they saw that matlab who had normal health drink, they did not have that much of strength, but the people who had Horlicks, they had a lot of strength. Now just tell me, is it a right experiment? Is this a true experiment?
Right, ma'am. Controlled and experiment group.
Somebody else or anybody wants to answer who knows little bit about this? Is this a good experiment or is this a right experiment?
It's the right experiment.
Right experiment. Or if somebody.
Ma'am, other than Horlicks, can it be something else for which the children grew up taller or stronger? It can be other nutrient or nutritious food they have taken.
Good.
So that can be not only Horlicks, but that can be something else. Like in the meantime, they might have taken some nutritious food for which they have grown taller or stronger.
Ma'am, जो बच्चे लिए गए
At the same time, we have to check our hypothesis. That is why we are giving them Horlicks, ma'am.
Acha, I'll come back. I'll answer every question to this. Yes, Akshay ji was saying something.
मेरे को सिर्फ इतना ये क्वेश्चन है कि जैसे जिन बच्चों का एक्सपेरिमेंट लिया गया होगा कि जो 100 बच्चे वो लिए गए होंगे, हो सकता है वो सारे के सारे, कुछ बच्चे किसी एक चीज में अच्छे हो, कुछ बच्चे बाकी चीजों में अच्छे हो. अब सारे एक साथ अच्छे हो सभी चीजों में, ये तो कहना मुश्किल है मैम.
वेरी गुड, बहुत बढ़िया. राइट. सी आप लोग बहुत क्लोज आ रहे हो, जो कि मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. मैं बस इसको थोड़ा ब्रेक डाउन करके बोलती हूँ. देखिए, सबसे पहली प्रॉब्लम विद दिस एक्सपेरिमेंट इज, बच्चे जो ग्रुप्स में बांटे गए उसका बेसिस क्या था? Was it randomly assigned, या फिर it was assigned in such a way that Horlicks will get the advantage? By this I mean, अगर उन्होंने ऐसे ही बच्चों को लिया है जो कि ऑलरेडी टॉल थे compared to those people who are not tall. जैसे मान लीजिए ज्यादा शॉर्टर को they put in the normal health drink group and taller को little bit taller को they put in the Horlicks group. तो यहाँ पे only there is a यहाँ पे ही थोड़ी गड़बड़ है. तो the first rule of any experiment is random assignment or random allocation of the subjects to the various groups. तो ये उन्होंने किया कि नहीं हमें नहीं पता. They have not mentioned. So we will assume कि उन्होंने नहीं किया. Since they have not, मैं बस आपको समझा रही हूँ. I'm not against Horlicks or any brand. मैं बस आपको समझा रही हूँ कि since उन्होंने mention नहीं किया है that was randomly done or not. So this is the first fault with the experiment कि random assignments of subjects नहीं हुआ. Second, उन्होंने कहा कि हमने health drink एक को दिया और हमने एक को Horlicks दिया. And rightly pointed out by somebody. मान लीजिए जो लोग Horlicks खाते हैं. Sorry?
Ma'am, some background noise is there.
So
Somebody's
second
second
issue with the experiment is, as somebody कि वो Horlicks के साथ वो लोग कुछ और भी खाते होंगे. Very true. मान लीजिए Horlicks वो खाते थे और every day they used to have 1 glass of sattu. You understand now what is sattu? Sattu is very nutritious and is full of protein. तो मान लीजिए the other health drink वाले did not have sattu, but these people had Horlicks and sattu. So they have not mentioned if they had anything else than Horlicks. Again, we do not know. Third is, they have not talked about one more factor which could be which could be an let's say intervening variable, which is exercise. You never know, maybe they could have asked these people to exercise, they may not have asked those people to exercise. See, these are all silent topics that are not mentioned in the ad. So we will say that this experiment that they are talking about is not a true experiment because there are many things they have not spoken about or they are silent. So यहाँ से let's talk about few of the variables. So what are the variables? The number one variable is independent variable. What is independent variable? Independent variable is something which the researcher can change as per the requirement of the experiment. So let's say it is totally researcher's choice to give 3 spoons of Horlicks, 2 spoons of Horlicks, 4 spoons of Horlicks, twice a day, thrice a day, once a day, etc. etc. So this is independent variable which can be manipulated by the researcher as per the need of the experiment. Now, whatever we measure or whatever the outcome we get, that is known as the dependent variable which cannot be changed. Okay, so after 2 months when they are measuring the height, weight and the strength etc and the IQ etc, that is the dependent variable because that they cannot change anymore. Once बच्चे का height they have shown it, they have shown that cannot be manipulated any further, so that is dependent variable. Then there is something known as control variable. What is a control variable? Control variable is something that would be present in both the sides of the group and that we have to control. So let's say just I was talking about exercise. तो exercise can be a control variable. अगर वो लोग exercise कर रहे हैं and we really do not know how it will affect to what, so we will just tell them for 2 months, don't do any exercise, just have Horlicks, that's all, nothing else. Have Horlicks or have your health drink. That is control variable. Then there is something known as intervening variable. What is intervening variable? Now, intervening variable is something which is there in the experiment, but it is not observable and hence cannot be controlled as well. Now, let me give you an example. They have chosen a child who, due to calcium deficiency, is taking calcium tablets, okay? But he has not told the researcher. The researcher does not know. He is in the Horlicks group. Calcium is very much important for the bones. After 2 months, anyway, he is becoming stronger due to the calcium tablet. But that is an intervening variable. The researcher does not know it. We also do not know how to control because just for the experiment, we cannot play with his health. So this is the intervening variable. Is there are so many variables we'll study when we will do it. Okay. Now this is done. This is one part of it. This is the experimental method. Then there is something known as, just to find out about the other research ways, there's something known as naturalistic observation. What is naturalistic observation? When you are observing people, just 1 minute.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Ma'am, you're muted.
Probably she got disconnected. Hold on for a minute.
Till ma'am comes.
Yes. Yes. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible
Yes.
but not visible.
Audible, not visible. Okay, now?
Fine.
Fine. I think
I
I'm
can
visible.
see you. Yeah. I'm
Yes.
getting the video
Okay.
stream.
Okay, okay, fine. Yes. So apart from the experimental method, which will again we'll talk about in great detail when we will do the statistics and research part, there are other ways also to know about whether there have been to test the hypothesis or to know about anything that we want to conduct a study on. So one is the case study method. So what is case study? Basically, you have a single person or a single event and you are studying it in its entirety or in its completeness. So that will be known as a case study. Then second is self-reporting questionnaires or inventories. So you just have few people there. You just give them a questionnaire or an inventory and you ask them to fill that up. So if you just ask them to fill that up, they will fill it up and they will themselves give you an idea of what they are thinking, what they are feeling, how they judge the environment to be, how they judge the situation to be. So that is a self-reporting questionnaire or inventory. And the last one is naturalistic observation. So what is naturalistic observation? You are basically observing the people in a natural setting. So you that at that point, nobody knows who's a researcher, nobody knows who's the audience. You are just observing them. You are trying to control. It's very difficult to control or manipulate variables in a natural setting, but you can try to do as much as you want or as much as you can actually. So that is a naturalistic observation. Okay, so once this is done, I mean, once we'll get into the research process, we'll take up examples like this and we'll see what are the variables pertaining to confounding variables, intervening variables, control variables, etc., etc. Okay, so and this was all about the research that is carried on in the cognitive psychology domain. Now we come to the last part. How do we apply or how do we use the concepts of cognitive psychology? So can anybody tell me how do we use the concepts of cognitive psychology in daily life? Yes, you can just yes.
Ma'am, is it meant that how do we deal with the everyday situations?
Yes, that's nice. Yes.
Ma'am, by trying to solve certain problems, maybe the problems are very small, but then that is one kind of solution of the problems, like how to meet the particular situation, how to face it, or taking decisions sometimes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Interpretation
Absolutely.
of stimuli,
Seeing the situation carefully.
interpreting the external stimuli.
Hello,
Yes.
ma'am.
See, there are 4 to 5 ways. Yes, Akshay ji is saying something. Yes, Akshay ji, tell me.
Yeah, seeing जो भी आपके आसपास हो रहा है उसको ध्यान देना मैम, केयरफुली.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So basically, from entire cognitive psychology, we can take 4 to 5 things that we can use in our daily life. Number one, consciousness. When your consciousness is strong or when you are fully aware of what is happening around you, then there are less chances of you being getting diverted or getting biased by external events. Okay, so consciousness is one thing that we take from cognitive psychology and that we can use in our everyday life. So we don't need to do multitasking and all of that. We need to focus and we need to be in the moment. So first is consciousness. Second is
मैम
thinking.
आई हैव
When you are
एग्जांपल
thinking, yes,
मैम कॉन्शियसनेस. आई सडनली आई रिमेम्बर्ड, जैसे कि मैं
yes,
जब भी मेट्रो में सफर करता हूँ तो मैं जैसे ही एंट्री करता हूँ मैं देखता हूँ कि सारे के सारे लोग सिर्फ फोन में ही लगे रहते हैं, सारे के सारे. मतलब इन्हें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि कौन मेट्रो में आया कौन गया, बस अपने फोन में लगे रहते हैं, लगे रहते हैं, लगे रहते हैं.
बिल्कुल
तो
सही बात है.
इस दौरान कोई भी इंसान कुछ भी करके चला जाए किसी को पता ही नहीं चलेगा.
True, true, absolutely. और शायद इसीलिए आप बहुत बार ये भी नोटिस किए होंगे, स्पेशली एट द क्राउडेड पॉइंट्स लाइक लेट्स से कश्मीरी गेट, राजीव चौक और इवन एट सेंट्रल सेक्रेटेरिएट, दे विल ऑलवेज कोई कोई लोग ऐसे होते हैं जो उल्टा साइड चले जाते हैं. इफ दे हैव टू लाइक टेक अ मेट्रो फ्रॉम सेंट्रल सेक्रेटेरिएट टू जसोला अपोलो, लेट्स से they will go to the other side from Jasola Apollo to Central Secretariat they will go. Getting it, na? So that is where the consciousness does not work. Okay, if you're not conscious, then yes, you are bound to make wrong decisions. You are bound to take wrong decisions. So that is one. Consciousness is one takeaway from cognitive psychology. Second is
People
thinking.
भी जब trains में
Your
होते हैं मैम,
sorry.
मैम जब people train में होते हैं मैम, वो मोबाइल फोन के साथ बहुत बिजी होते हैं, फिर सडनली जब उनका स्टॉप आ जाता है वो उठकर चले जाते हैं मैम। वो कॉन्शियस तो नहीं होते कौन आ रहा है कौन जा रहा है, बट सडनली जब उनका स्टॉप आ जाता है उनको पता चलता है, वो खड़े हो जाते हैं और चले जाते हैं मैम।
They will be conscious. You may be feeling that they are not conscious, but they will be conscious. Now see, there is a little bit a difference here between being conscious and a habit formation. Many people do certain things as a part of their habit formation, but हमको लगता है कि they might not be conscious, but they are very conscious because they have made that into their mind कि if I am taking a metro or I am taking a train at 6 p.m, my stop will exactly come between 6:30 to 6:35. They're absolutely conscious, they're absolutely aware of it, but that might not show just as latent learning. ये कॉन्शियसनेस आपको कब दिखाई देता है? मान लीजिए somebody is new to the Delhi metro. At every point he will or she will look around, look through outside the window कि अभी कौन सा स्टेशन आया. They'll start to tally that, जो ऊपर जो रहता है, they will tally it with it. अच्छा तो अभी ये स्टेशन आया, विश्वविद्यालय आया, तो इसके बाद ये स्टेशन है, विधानसभा है, उसके बाद ये है, इसके बाद वो है. तो दैट यू आपको दिख रहा है कि ही इज कॉन्शियस, ही इज अवेयर. देयर आर मेनी पीपल who are so much used to it during this
Ma'am,
entire thing.
like
They will
not only they remain busy with the phone and all. Sometimes I've watched people are sleeping literally, and just at the moment the destination comes, they wake up. I mean, this is also out of habit. I mean,
yes, also
the entire route they are sleeping, but just at the time of their own destination they get up. So this is also something like
a certain sort of conditioning does happen, ma'am.
it is true, and also
But at the
people
time they
are.
are
And is it something selective attention? Selective attention.
in train.
Selective attention plays a great role, and I think majority of the things in life is selective attention, because if you start to attend to everything, that will be a lot of chaos. So many people are very much used to, since they practice consciousness on a daily basis. You'll see many people, especially your grandfathers, you will see they do not need an alarm clock to wake up. They will just set that in their mind that I have to wake up at 5:30. If they would have given you the charge to wake them up, you will go to call them and they will be already awake at 5:15. Has anybody seen this? I think it's very common, right?
yes, ma'am, absolutely, yes. I've seen
Yes.
many times.
So yes. So similarly, consciousness is one takeaway. Second is thinking, which is always to be logical and rational. Third is your problem solving ability through your perception and intelligence. And fourth is your language, the way you use language. Your language always has to be self-motivating. Your language has always to be in a more positive tone, and your language is also always to be for a clearer communication. So again, language is a very important takeaway. And the last and the most important thing is your memory. So your memory should always be, you can say, you should keep practicing these small techniques for memory, and always you should focus on any information for more than 17 to 18 seconds for it to go into the long-term memory. So we need to have elaborative rehearsal. We need to have long-term storage of information so that our memory is strong. So these are the 4-5 domains or 4-5 things which are important from cognitive psychology point of view, and also which we can use in our daily life. Okay, so these are the applied aspects. So with this we'll finish cognitive psychology. Whatever we talked of today, that can be found in the first chapter of cognitive psychology, MAPC. We'll try to upload that PDF today. That PDF is still running in the screen. I'll request Swapnil ji only to upload that part 1 or that unit 1 PDF in the group. Please go through. If you have any questions, we will have a separate class of maybe about 30 to 40 minutes to just deal with the questions. Okay.
Okay,
Right, right.
ma'am, just can you just brief that what are the key issues in the study of cognitive psychology?
Yes, one is consciousness, second is thinking.
Ma'am, the key issues.
No, not key issues, the key takeaways or the way you can apply them in your real life, okay?
Ma'am, actually, we had a question in our assignment like nature versus nurture and rationalism versus empiricism. You have just told about rationalism and empiricism, like nature versus nurture and
Nature is the exactly like nature is whatever is there, you can say whatever is there in you, and nurture is the environment, or it is the you can say uh, uh, it is the way you are growing up, or you are getting the external feedback, or you are
Surrounding,
getting
ma'am.
the
around.
bringing up of a child, right?
Yes, surrounding, yes.
Okay.
Nature is the genetics and nurture is the environment that the child gets, okay? We'll discuss about assignments, okay? We'll have a separate class for assignments and we'll tell you how to address each question, right?
Okay. Thank
Ma'am,
you, ma'am.
Ah, yes.
मैम एक क्वेश्चन जहन में आ रहा है मैम जब हम एक एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं तो आपने कहा जैसे कि हम दो ग्रुप्स को डिवाइड करते हैं वन इज एक्सपेरिमेंटल ग्रुप एंड दिस अदर वन इज कंट्रोल ग्रुप मैम क्या हम ये कह सकते हैं इज इट राइट टू से कि रैंडमाइजेशन रिड्यूसेस द बायसेस चांस क्योंकि आप कह रहे थे कि शायद एक ग्रुप को बायस था उन्होंने वो ड्रिंक पिया हुआ था दैट इज वाई कि वो टॉल थे मगर
That is
अगर हम जी जी
that
मैम
is the very reason why randomization is done. The
राइट
only purpose of randomization is to remove the bias and nothing else. So
राइट
randomization किया ही उसके लिए जाता है. So it is not only an effect, it is the purpose, basically.
राइट मैम सेकंड क्वेश्चन दैट कम्स इन माय माइंड इज दैट कि मैम आप कह रहे थे कंट्रोल ग्रुप मैम दोनों में कैसे हो सकता है कंट्रोल ग्रुप इज मतलब ओनली द कंपैरिजन और रेफरेंस ग्रुप मगर मैम दोनों में कैसे हम कह सकते हैं कि कंट्रोल ग्रुप है एक्सपेरिमेंटल में भी
दोनों
और यहाँ पे भी
कंट्रोल नहीं है, दोनों कंट्रोल ग्रुप नहीं है. आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट कंट्रोल वेरिएबल. आई वाज नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट
राइट
कंट्रोल ग्रुप.
ओके ओके मैम
दोनों कंट्रोल ग्रुप होंगे तो आप एक्सपेरिमेंट किस पे करेंगे फिर?
राइट
राइट.
राइट
आई वाज टॉकिंग
राइट
अबाउट
मैम मैम फिर कह
कंट्रोल.
सकते हैं कंट्रोल ग्रुप सिर्फ एक कंपैरिजन ग्रुप है अपने रिजल्ट्स चेक करने के लिए
हाँ, बिकॉज अगर आप बोल रहे हैं कि लेट्स से यू आर सेइंग दैट जी आप यूट्यूब देखते होंगे तो देर इज अ वेरी गुड एक्सप्लेनेशन ऑफ कंट्रोल ग्रुप्स. सडन जैसे मान लीजिए देर आर दीज प्रोडक्ट्स दैट दीज यूट्यूबर वांट्स टू से दैट दे आर इफेक्टिव और नॉट, स्पेशली द हेयर प्रोडक्ट्स और द फेस प्रोडक्ट्स. व्हाट दे विल डू इज दे विल डिवाइड देयर body into half. So let's say there is a product called XYZ. They will put it on the left side for 7 weeks and they will not put it, or they will not put anything on the right side for 7 days. Sorry, 7 days, not weeks, 7 days.
राइट
On the eighth day they'll create a video and tell, see, this is this side I had I have lot of softness and this is very dry, so I can conclude that this product is working, right? So
राइट
this
राइट
is the control group, this is the experimental group.
Ma'am, like the
इट्स ओनली
advertisement of
देयर
Dove,
Sorry,
advertisement
कंट्रोल ग्रुप
about
इज
the
ओनली
Dove.
sorry, just one person please. Yes, tell me. Yes, somebody was saying something. Huh.
Ma'am, the same way that advertise in the those Dove products. They do the same
Absolutely.
thing.
They do the same thing. Dove men, they will use Dove on this gal and they will not use on this one. And after 7 to 10 days, they will say this one was good because it's very soft and it feels very childlike, and this feels very rough. So Dove is good and you must use it, and this and that. Okay. So that is a very simple example of control group and experimental group.
मैम
हाँ हाँ.
आई एम सॉरी मैम एक क्वेश्चन
No,
और
no.
मैम मैम
हाँ.
ये confusion मैम मेरे जहन में कंफ्यूजन रहा है स्पीक इन उर्दू आई एम मोर कंफर्टेबल मैम जब हम ट्रेन में चढ़ते हैं ना मैम देर आर लॉट ऑफ पीपल जो बुक्स को रीड करते हैं मैम मैम आते जाते जो है उनको पता नहीं है कौन आ रहा है द पर्सन हु इज एंटरिंग एग्जिट कुछ भी मैम पता नहीं है उनको दे आर रीडिंग द बुक चैप्टर्स पढ़ रहे हैं मगर पता है कि बुक में क्या पढ़ रहे हैं मैम वहां पे तो वो कॉन्शियस नहीं है मगर अटेंटिव है, मगर अटेंशन के अटेंटिव होने के लिए इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट टू बी कॉन्शियस, मगर उन्हें पता है कि हम चैप्टर में क्या पढ़ रहे हैं क्या नहीं, तो ये कैसे अलग अलग हो सकता है?
लिसन, सबसे पहली बात ये है, you cannot measure somebody's consciousness, number one. That we have to be very clear.
Question.
Sorry?
Actually, I practicing it a lot.
Yes. See, आप किसी के कॉन्शियसनेस को मेजर नहीं कर सकते, आप किसी की कॉन्शियसनेस को चैलेंज नहीं कर सकते कि यू आर नॉट कॉन्शियस. मेनी अ टाइम्स people are very much conscious also, they're very much attentive also, but you may not be able to see it on their faces or in their behavior. Okay,
Ma'am,
so
is this a kind of selective attention? Like they're selecting the kind of like stimulus where they want to be attentive more?
Yes, that's what I told in the beginning, that selective attention works everywhere.
प्रीकर्सर है हम यहाँ से हम ये भी कहते हैं कि अटेंशन का प्रीकर्सर कॉन्शियसनेस है. इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट टू बी कॉन्शियस, ओनली देन यू कैन बी अटेंटिव. मैम बस ये कंफ्यूजन जहन में आ रहा था मैम.
Definitely. See, I'll just tell in one line that selective attention works every time. You cannot be attentive towards everything in your life. अगर ऐसा होने लगा, then people will never forget bad moments. People will never stop to be happy for the good moments because you're paying attention to everything. You don't have that much energy to do. इसीलिए you will see you are only very much aware about a sound which is very rare. अभी fan चल रहा है, you are quite okay with it, but मान लीजिए there is a cut sound with the fan which is very rare, you will be more aware about that now, right? So selective attention goes on, consciousness goes on, attention goes on, but yes, you cannot know whether a person is conscious at that moment or not, because many a times people will just not speak. मान लीजिए you are asking somebody, okay, it's very hot, right? And then the other person is not replying to you, so do you mean that he's not feeling hot? No, he may not just choose to answer you, that's all.
He may be an introvert and he does not want to answer. There are n number of factors behind everyone's behavior. Yep.
Exactly. We cannot know. Similarly, when you are saying so many people are coming in and going out, and there's a person who's reading a book and he's not replying. He's not replying because he does not want to. We cannot have a very clear-cut reason that he's not conscious or he's not attentive. He just does not want to respond to. That's all. That's it.
राइट मैम. जब उस आदमी से पूछते हैं भैया कौन आया कौन चढ़ा ट्रेन में, वो कहते हैं मुझे पता नहीं था, मैं बुक के साथ बिजी था. आई वाज रीडिंग, आई वाज इनग्रॉस्ड इन माय बुक. तो मैं कॉन्शियस नहीं था कि ट्रेन में क्या हुआ क्या नहीं, तो मैं तो अपनी बुक के साथ बिजी था. तो इस वजह से कह सकते हैं कि वो कॉन्शियस नहीं.
मैम बट यहाँ पे आर यू श्योर कि कॉन्शियस होना चाहिए या अटेंटिव होना चाहिए कहने के लिए कि क्या मैं कॉन्शियस नहीं था या मैं अटेंटिव नहीं था? कॉन्शियस तो वो है ना, वो ही इज सिटिंग देयर एंड डूइंग सम टास्क, तो वो उस चीज में आई नो, मतलब वो अटेंटिव किस चीज में है? बट माइट बी कि वहां कोई उसके साथ में कोई थीफ बैठा है और वो ही इंसान उस चोर को पकड़ते हुए देखा है. मैंने even I have seen the same thing, a person engrossed in his own world or in his old doings. Maybe he was on phone and he was the only one, the rest were talking, chatting. He was the only one to catch a person who was trying to take out something from a lady's purse. So how can you judge कि वो कॉन्शियस नहीं है? कॉन्शियस तो है, अटेंटिव किस चीज में है?
राइट, दैट इज डिवाइडेड अटेंशन. राइट, इट्स डिवाइडेड अटेंशन. पर जब उस इंसान से कहते हैं कि भैया ट्रेन में तो चोरी हुई, आपको पता नहीं है चोरी हुई, वो कहते हैं मुझे तो पता ही नहीं था, मैं तो अपनी बुक में इतना मस्त था, आई वाज रीडिंग अ बुक, आई वाज एनग्रॉस्ड, आई वाज नॉट अवेयर अबाउट द एक्सटर्नल इवेंट्स दैट वर हैपनिंग इन द एनवायरनमेंट. मैं सिर्फ अपनी बुक में पढ़ रहा था. तो उसके स्टेटमेंट से लग रहा है कि नहीं, कहीं ना कहीं उसको तो पता ही नहीं है, बस में चोरी हुई है, इतना हुआ है, वो तो बुक ही पढ़ रहा था. ऐसा भी होता है घर में हम बैठते हैं, बाहर से इतना नॉइज होता है, अंदर से अक्सर पूछते हैं कि ऐसा झगड़ा हो रहा था बाहर, आपको पता है कल ऐसे हुआ, वो कह रहे हमें तो पता ही नहीं, हम तो कुकिंग कर रहे थे. इस वजह से दिस थिंग स्ट्राइक्स माय माइंड कि कॉन्शियसनेस एंड अटेंशन, थिन लाइन डिफरेंस. मैम होप यू अंडरस्टैंड.
बट आई थिंक यू आर आंसरिंग योरसेल्फ. आप खुद को ही आंसर कर रहे हैं अपना, बस आपको एक छोटा सा कंफ्यूजन है, दैट्स इट. आपको यू नो द आंसर.
There is a thin line difference, right? Right, ma'am.
Yeah, you actually you know the answer and you yourself are explaining so well everything. But ये है कि
Oh,
आपको
ma'am,
उसको
that's a little seed of confusion in my mind. इससे पहले एक participant ने बोला कि train वाला incident, तो मेरे जहन में ये trigger हो गया. So I felt restless. I thought कि let's clear it. That's it, ma'am. Sorry for interruption.
Okay, looks like Romanaji is experiencing some issues. It started raining in her area. Okay, so she got disconnected and now not able to connect back because of the network failure. Okay,
So
so
there's,
if you
sir,
have
I
any
want to make a,
questions or
I
anything,
want to make a
please
request.
post that in the group.
So I want to make a request. So please, can we conduct
Yeah,
classes
sure.
on Google Meet? So Google Meet पे classes हो सकती है या Zoom पे. सर इसमें थोड़ा टेक्निकल ग्लिच है एंड इसमें चलाना भी आता नहीं है उतना. सो टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट कि आप गूगल मीट पे कर सकते हैं कि वो इंटरप्ट नहीं होता है. इट्स इजी टू यूज. सो टीम्स पे थोड़ा मुश्किल है, इसमें डिस्कनेक्ट हो जाता है एंड
Okay,
इट्स नॉट
so
कनेक्टेड इजीली. सो काइंडली डू ऑन दैट.
I understand. Okay, so I understand, but we need to look at several aspects. First thing,
Right,
Zoom
right,
has
right.
several recording issues. Okay, so we had used in the past. Okay,
Right.
so sometimes it generates recordings, sometimes it doesn't.
Right, right.
It is really problematic, and when it usually takes a day or two to generate the recording. Sometimes it even takes more than 3 to 4 days. Okay, recording generated by Zoom is pretty heavy. Okay, so it adds to the cost. So as you know, we are operating at a very low cost because of the free courses that we uh, arrange for the large audiences. Okay, so if we use Zoom subscription, that will certainly increase cost to such an high extent, then we probably will not be able any of the free courses.
So
Apart
can
from
then we
that,
switch on
we
to Google
felt
Meet?
that there are a lot of options Teams offers.
So can
Yes,
then we
I'm
switch on to
coming to
Google
that
Meet? Google Meet is
that
also
also that part
what
also. So
platform?
Google, yes, I'm coming to that question. Yeah, I'm coming to that question.
Right,
So
right,
we
sir.
have also given a thought around Google Meet, but it is an entire package. It is not just a Google Meet subscription. Okay, first thing, it is an entire suite that one need to opt for. So again, cost is another aspect, but apart from that, I'm not using means for the website purposes. We are using different email hosts. Okay, we are using services from different providers. So just for the team meeting purposes, it is not really cost effective. Cost is the major concern and when it comes to the recordings and everything, team is offering pretty great thing. It is their recordings are quite uh, at a low resolution, and means we are easily able to put it wherever we want. This is not the case when it comes to the Google as well as with the Zoom. Okay, certainly we will try to change it in future as we go ahead. Right now we are operating at a very marginal gains. Okay, literally there are no gains. Okay, frankly speaking, we are just website expenses, then there are this internet and everything
Right, sir.
cost.
Sir, how can we
Okay, so
use the
there is
basic
everything. There is a email host service that is paid. Right now we're just trying to figure out. Certainly in future we will get to a better solution.
Right, right, sir.
So many
So I
And
have
students are their exams.
operating team is not that difficult. Okay, it is just easy. Just you just need to get used to it. It is quite
right,
easy
sir.
actually.
So how can we
Sir,
We
just
use
text
it on
message?
a
How
basis in
if we
sir,
offices
have a
usually.
question and answer,
sir,
how we can text in
hello, sir.
Teams? Kindly provide the route for that.
Hello, sir.
Uh, you can type it, means you need to select the conversation. Means there is a message icon. Just click on it, and you should be able to put your messages. So just like others were putting their messages in the group. So I
So where
have
it is?
seen
Where the
some of
icon
them
lies?
replied.
Kindly
So
place the location where the icon lies.
probably I
Volume.
will share a 5-minute quick video how to use Teams in the group.
Thank you, thank you. That will be your most kind.
So if you
How
just
can we
highlight
access
your
the messages and
tool
what you are
on the particular
you're
screen, yeah.
sending books, you're sending links. How can we हम कैसे access कर
Sorry, your
सकते हैं?
voice is
आप
breaking. Can
material
you repeat?
भेजते हैं, आप link भेजते हैं.
In future, right? In future, right? So what we will do, we will open up the access for the people who are paying for the subscription. Right now, eh, there are, as you can see, yesterday there were 75 people. Yeah, today there were 40 plus people. Okay, so it becomes difficult. So that's why we are not opening up accesses, because there is so much of crowd, and it will create some kind of a chaotic situation. But as we move forward, we will have limited people, so everyone will have access to the history of the chats, right? So all the links will be placed in a whole particular
Right,
place.
right.
Apart from that,
I'm
we
getting
will create some kind of flow wherein you will get an access to the
right, right,
files, to the links, whatever
right.
important
Books.
material we are sharing. You
Right,
will
right,
have every access to everything. Okay,
right, right.
so we
So
will
I'm
keep
getting your point, sir.
organized enough.
I'm getting your
Right now
point.
it
Right,
is
right.
free, so we have to keep.
So we are facing a problem. We, if we want to
There
just
was one more question.
reproduce the recordings, we're not able to just revisit the recording. Kindly help in that.
Okay. Sure. So we have
Although
kept
you have
it
already
for the
sent it the
means
link in
most of the
future,
time we are keeping
already
it
already
locked.
sent it the
We are
link
just
in previous
opening
classes, but we're not
accesses.
able to just click on that.
Okay. So I will check that everything, and I will check the accesses. Okay. Understand, when it comes to the website, so those recorded event requires you one to log in. Okay, that is also there. So you need to log in and then
We have
click on
just
those
entered
particular links that will take you to
it
the.
requires entering the
I will
email
again
address.
check everything.
Already
I will
entered the
test
email
it.
address, but it's not happening there. So actually, it requires entering
Let
the
me
email
check that
address in the
if
box,
there
in the
is any
text
problem.
box. I've
Okay.
already entered the email address, but it's not opening. Nothing is happening there. No recording is opening. Although you have sent it the link, but we're not able to access that. Kindly look into that.
Okay. Give me some time. I will share. I will check that and share another link. Okay.
All
We'll
right.
share the
Thank you.
details.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
the students who are having
There was
exams
one more
in June,
question.
how can they complete their syllabus?
That is a really good question. Probably you have already gone through the all the courses. So there are 6 courses. Okay, so it is impossible. That, let's be clear, it is impossible to cover everything. Even if you just decide to read everything, it will take. You need to read at least 2 to 4 units per day in order to cover that topic by June. So what we are talking about is lectures. It is impossible. We can select some of the courses based on the requirement. So suppose if there are more people who are interested in joining MPC 5, MPC 6, then we can certainly uh, push other courses and then conduct classes for MPC 005 and
Sir,
zero zero six.
it sir, it would be great
Or
if you can start for the
at least
second
you
year
can
and
appear
practicals
for the
also.
papers related. Yes, we are planning. We are still discussing, because the time is the essence. Time is the main problem with all of us. Okay, so working professionals, then we need to be aware of the availability of the students as well. So that, and most of the students will be and people will be available on Saturdays and Sundays. So how much time we can take? So we are trying to find out a balance, right? Availability the students as well as with the Romanaji. Okay, she is working. She is working as a video, so she is mostly busy because of this COVID situation. She has to visit hospitals and everything in order to take control of the situation. Okay, how the things are being uh, happening around her block. Okay, so that is the ongoing issue, but certainly we will find a right time and then we will share details with you. Soon we will have classes for second year as well. That's we promise for sure. Okay.
Also, sir, if some students enroll after a
Right.
while,
Any other question?
maybe in June, if some students enroll maybe in June, so will they be able to get the recordings of April and May?
So we can provide those recordings, but it really depends on those individuals who want to, who, if they are interested, then we can offer recording, or if they want to wait for the live classes, we can enroll them in the live classes. Okay, it's up to
Okay,
the
thank you.
that individual how they want it. So suppose if my shift is rotational and I work on Saturdays and Sundays, then I cannot attend those Saturday Sunday classes. Then I can just rely on recording. Then I will just ask for the recordings.
Sir,
Okay,
are
just
you,
give me
I,
recordings,
sir,
and
are
if I
you
have reached
thinking
time for
about
that, I can
internship
fit
and
that.
dissertation?
Yes, but we are planning that as well, but in future. So probably in 2 3 weeks we will release all the details. Right now
Yes,
there's a
sir.
lot of things are happening. We are under a lot of stress because of this COVID situation. So we are not finding right time. Okay, for right resources as well. There is a lot of limitation. Okay, so that's the problem. So we will be flexible in future, but right now stress that is happening. So in fact, so what happens in my society? There are a lot of people that found the COVID positive. So that is also putting up a lot of restrictions on me going out and finding the information and then getting the right things. Okay. So apart from that, it is adding up to the internet access. Okay. All right. So there is a question. Uh, in the screen there is a group 4 additional. Okay, so if any group of 4 people who decides to join, they will get additional 10% discount per block or per course. So if you have a group of 4 friends who wants to attend this class, you will get a discount of 10%. 4 plus people. Okay, did that answer your question, Aishwarya? Okay, any other question?
Hi, I wanted to ask you, do you guys have a WhatsApp group? Will you make a WhatsApp group?
Yes, we do have WhatsApp as well as the Telegram group. So you can be a part of those groups as well. And when we start with the classes, we will create dedicated group for those students. So we can share all the links and everything. Apart from that, we will create a dedicated login page for those individuals. Okay, everything will be taken care of once we start with the paid classes. Right now, we don't know who is going to join the classes. Okay, there is a random number of people who are joining classes today to yesterday. Okay, some of them liked it, some of them who may not have liked it. Okay, So we have not created dedicated space as of now. But once we start receiving admissions, we will create dedicated space, dedicated accounts, groups. So all the people that are in the group can also perform practicals if needed with each other. So there is one requirement when you appear for exams, you need to have one individual on whom you can perform those experiments, those practicals. Okay, so you can actually do it with the help of each other as well. So we will work on that pattern as well.
Thank you.
Okay. So I will share a Telegram group link as of now. But if you want specifically WhatsApp group, then let me just see, because most of our groups are quite full. They have already have more than 200, 250 students. So that's why there are so many different groups created. Okay. Any other question? So I have shared the group link over here. Any other question? So I have shared the pricing detail and everything. This is a tentative schedule. So certainly it is impossible to cover information processing in 4 hours. Okay. We will try to cover important points first, and if there is a need, we will take additional classes for additional hours. Okay, additional lectures. So dates are given here are totally tentative. It depends on the flexibility of the students group as well as with the lecturer, that is Rumanaji. So if she is free on Fridays, Thursdays, so probably those lectures can be conducted on Thursdays and Fridays as well. Okay, so this is just a tentative schedule, what you are seeing on your screen. So if you are interested, I'm sharing the payment link, and if anyone is having any issues with the payment or have any concerns, feel free to reach out to me. Okay. All right. So I don't think there are any questions. So in that case, we can wrap up this meeting. So thank you everyone for being here. I hope you got to learn several things that Rumanaji told, and you got all your doubts cleared. If not, put your question in the group. We will try to answer those questions. Okay. All right. So thank you. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.